signs. We are living in the end of times. Where is the love we once used to know? Where is the kindness we used to show? The heart of man is so full of hate. Let's make a change before it's too late. Too much killing, too much blood spilling. Each and every morning, it's weeping and mourning. We've got to stop all the crimes, erase the violence, let our voice be heard. We can't sit in silence. The hope of tomorrow is in our use today. We've got to live in love. Crime and violence don't pay.
All right, so time here in SVG, it is 8:10, and we are into our Cop Chat program for today. Excuse me. I'm okay now, I think. All right, so in studio, we have Sergeant Cohen Ince, and we also have Corporal Clifford Phillips, and we are going to be talking on the topic of fire prevention and safety. Well, y'all looking at each other. What I said wrong?
Sergeant Ince is not present. Inspector Clark is here.
Wait, hold on. What do? Right, okay, so Inspector Curtis Clark and Corporal Clifford. All right, you know what? I was reading the wrong thing. I have it corrected. Sorry. Okay. So yes, let me say that again, folks. Right. Okay, so in studio at the moment, we have Inspector Curtis Clark and Corporal Clifford Phillips. All right. So welcome back to the studios of WEFM, because you're right. So good morning, and how are you? And Happy New Year to both of you.
Good morning to you as well, and Happy New Year to you. And good morning to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the listening public.
Good morning to you as well. Good morning to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and all of Vincent and abroad.
All righty, so let's jump right into it. We're talking on the topic of fire prevention and safety. All right, so let us know what is the role of the fire brigade service, and discuss the responsibility of the fire brigade service, and how you balance fire prevention and firefighting.
Yes. My name is Curtis Clark. Sorry, Inspector of Police. I am stationed at the Argyle Fire Station. Just as a way of description. Yes, with the question being posed to us, the fire department has been around for quite a while with numerous challenges that we may have. One thing I can say in respect to our duties, we have a wide range of duties that we perform on a day-to-day basis. We perform firefighting duties. We perform education to the general public. We provide search and rescue. We also have an EMT team on duty at the Argyle International Airport. So we have a wide range of topics to discuss here, and a wide range of duties that we have to perform. What I must say that in respect to balancing fire prevention and firefighting duties, it's always been a challenge and a task that we have to juggle between. That being, we're gonna speak about resources in terms of human resources and our man-made resources. If you have seen recently on some fire scene that we would have gone to, you can see the limited amount of fire officers that we have performing those tasks. And also you might see one truck on that said fire scene. So it is a challenge for us in balancing off those tasks, but we, however, do a very good job, because most of the time we get the job done effectively with little loss.
Little loss of what in
Property.
particular?
Little loss of property.
Okay.
And as I can say, in recent we have not gotten any loss of life. Mr. Philip, would you like to add
Well,
something?
just to say a bit on what the inspector had said, yes, we have many roles as firefighters. Prevention education, in terms of educating the public, sensitizing them on fire awareness, how to identify fire hazard, and fire safety, to practice good fire safety. Also, we respond to emergency and non-emergency as well, in terms of person who might be trapped in vehicle. We conduct extraction. Also, we would assist those other emergency entity in administering first aid, and also packaging victim for transport for further medical intervention. So it's a wide range. Also, inspection of and maintenance of appliance and equipment. Those are our role too as well. We have to make sure that our gears and equipment are working properly, right? And also, as I said, search and rescue, getting person from born building, and so on. So it's great. It's a large responsibility.
How often is the maintenance and checks done though of
Every morning when we get up, we would check our appliance and gears. Well, especially me and my team, we normally do it, and I guess the other team too as well, because we have to make sure in case there's an emergency that we have to respond. We want to know that our equipment are working properly. So it would say every morning, because we normally wash down the truck, check the gears to see what equipment we have aboard, make sure the SARS and everything are working properly.
All right, curious question. In terms of, do you do practice drills in the sense of you get a call, and to see how quickly it is you're able to mobilize yourselves to be able to leave the station to address the fire? Do you do those type of practice drills?
Yes, we do those drills from time to time, but I will say that more need to be done, because in order to get better at what you do, the more you do, it's better for you. As they always say, practice make better. Yes, because if we don't do that, we become rusted, and at the end, we were not able to perform our duties as efficient as we should. I may like to add that just recently at Argyle, when I got at work some day ago, and I called and I asked to act the tower to activate the fire alarm, so I can see how quick my men respond, putting on the bunker gears, get to the truck, because it's important that time is efficient. If it doesn't do it on a timely basis, loss of time can mean loss of life.
Right. And what is the response time supposed to be? Do you have a time within getting the call, you're out in how much time is supposed to be out by?
Yes. Well, for structural firefighting, meaning at Kingston and Georgetown, the time frame is 2 minutes from where you at, from your dormitory into your uniform onto the truck. No more than 2 minutes. And at the airport, it's 90 seconds.
Okay. Good to know. All right. So what are some of the common causes of fires here in SVG?
Well, we would have seen over the past years that we would have been experiencing a lot of fire, especially in the home, such as cooking, leaving that unattended. Most people tends to they cooking at a high elevated temperature. The stove is high to the level that it was cause a fire. Some people would be cooking and they probably be watching some program on TV, and they forget that they have the pot on fire. Also, they would leave the pot there unattended and go inside the bathroom, say they go and take a nap or something, which would actually lead to a fire as well. And well, there are faulty electrical appliance. Some people are faulty electrical appliance, and they don't want to replace them. They believe to themselves, okay, I have this, okay, let me leave it. It will work. So that sometimes can lead to a fire. and you have broken electrical wire too as well. That's why inspection is very important. You understand? And inspector, yeah, anything to say?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I will add to that. As the corporal indicated, but there's something I also want to look at, because in recent, I would have heard that person complaining, and this is really relating to arson, suspected arson. Persons, even though it's intentionally or unintentionally, it can constitute arson. A person may light a fire in an area, doing certain things, and knowing that if that fire get out of hand, it can destroy that property, but they don't care, and they light that fire there, and an unattended fire or unmonitored fire. In recent, we would have the fire down in Miller Street to Melville Street, I think that is, where one of the jacks building was affected, and information received that somebody was in the back of a building lighting a fire. So that is one of my concern, and that is one of the causes of fire that we have. We have the bushfire, the bushfire season, where persons will light fires in bushes, and that fire get out of control and affect other properties. That's another cause that we are addressing, and we are hoping that persons will stop doing these things, because at the end of it, it doesn't only destroy someone's house, but it destroys the ecological system, the trees, the wildlife, and all these animals that are living in that area.
Also, the overloading of socket, which is which is dangerous, because what you have to look at is that each devices have a different amperage, which means they have a different load in terms of current load. So we have to be careful what we are plugging into these outlet, because I think domestic household is voltage is up to 250, which we use 13 amp. So picture you plugging in the refrigerator, computer, those heaters that they normally use on the air. So those are high consuming equipment. So we have to be very careful. And also something I would have get to understand, the plug-in of double surge protector. That is also dangerous as well.
Right, thank you. And just to add to what the corporal said, because he spoke about electrical, a lot of times persons you're using an equipment, especially fan, and you finish using that at the moment, and you decide to leave your home, and you leave it on running. There's a lot of time that these equipment would have caused fire. So we advise persons, when you leave in your home, turn off all electrical equipment that is not in use. Persons also who are charging a phone tends to charge a phone on the bed, and that can cause a fire as well, because the heat from the phone onto that combustible material will eventually heat up enough to cause a fire. So we advise persons, if you are charging a phone, rest it on a hard object, not on your bed, maybe on a stand, or maybe on some hard object that if anything happens, you will not be able to start a fire immediately. It will take a while before that happens.
And Inspector, let's not forget the laptop as well. Yes. The laptop, leaving a laptop unattended on bed, because
you're talking to plenty of we this morning, boy.
I remember we had a case where a laptop was placed unattended. And if it's not properly vented, because ventilation is very important in a lot of things. So the laptop probably went thermal. That's what we call thermal,
yes.
Elevated temperature. So it overheated and caused a fire. Also transformers, when you are placing transformers, they must be placed where they can be ventilated. Because if you are going to store a transformer within a confined space where ventilation is limited, because it still needs the air to balance the temperature of the transformer. So it must be placed where it can be ventilated, where air can pass on it as well, because that would lead to a fire.
Go ahead. I have a question. How many fire stations do we have?
Well, we have 2 fire stations on the mainland, which is at Kingston and Georgetown. And the airports, the grenadines, well, I don't consider the airports fire station for that purpose, because at the airport you just cannot leave the airport to respond to any emergency. You have to be given the permission to leave once it's during flight hours. So that's why I said Kingston and Georgetown. But if we're gonna check the airports firefighters, we have to check Argyle, Beckway, Canouan, and Union Island.
Okay. So let's say a fire starts in Chateaubelair, right? A house fire starts in Chateaubelair. What would you advise for persons to do? Because realistically, fire truck leaving Kingston to get to Chateaubelair to out a fire, what would you advise persons within that home or within the community to do?
All right, thank you very much. Very good question. Within our communities, we have various police stations, and our police officers have been trained in firefighting. So they have the basic knowledge as to extinguish fires and to ensure that person's safety is being adhered to. If there's a fire in Chateaubelair, the first person who's going to respond is the Chateaubelair police station. So they're going to go there and size up, see what is happening. And if the action to be taken is to take a garden hose at the meantime, if that one is available, to start out that fire. If none is there, well, what advice they will give to the person is to leave the premises. If the fire is in a bedroom and you are a resident of that house and you try to out that fire, but you realize you cannot manage it, we advise you to close the door, get out of the house, get to a safe area, and then you call 911. You call the police. The police 911 take you to police control, and they will patch that call to the fire department. We will have to respond from Kingston all the way to Chateaubelair to address that issue. We advise and persons that, it is always good to have firefighting knowledge for your own safety, because where you at, there may not be any fire station in your area, and you have your property to protect. So you have to find that information. We, as the fire department, we normally do sensitization. We have our own programs going, and at this point, I'm gonna implore on the public. If you need any assistance in that regard, don't be afraid to call on the fire department. It is our duty and role to assist you in ensuring that you are safe.
Well, presently, we are putting some program together because we want to reach a larger mass of people, educating them on fire safety and fire prevention. And also, I believe we would probably have an appliance down in that region in time, but I don't know the time. But we are working on that. That's something we're working on. So, so we would be able to reach, especially on that side of the island in case there's a fire. So, something.
And given the terrain as well,
Yes.
because it's for some areas it might be a bit of a challenge for the fire truck to maneuver certain corners, right?
Working on something that will be more durable, something that can move about and able to extinguish fire on that side of the island.
If I may say, based on what is happening recently, I am sure the whole world who is looking, when these medias are being posted, they will see what is happening. So I know for a fact that the government is seeing what is happening in respect to some of these fires that we are having. And I believe that in time, the government will have some of these areas have fire station being built in order to protect our citizens, because we know the longer we take to get to that location, is more devastation. And if somebody is being trapped in that building, that's a loss of life. So we need to put things in place, not only from the fire department perspective, but from the governmental perspective. Because if we don't do this, it's difficult for you to leave Kingston to Chateaubelair in 10 minutes. You may never reach it, maybe in 2 hours, 1 hour, based on the traffic and, as I said, the terrain. Because in many areas, when you are going to fire scene, there are a lot of vehicles parked along the roadside, which hinder the fire appliance from getting to that area on time because you're parking in the road and some of the areas of the road are very narrow.
What about community sensitization in terms of getting the message, like going into different communities? Because really and truly, right? If I live Chateau, yes, as a citizen, I should call the fire department to let them know what has happened. But in terms of mobilizing community effort, do you think that having a direct outreach program within the communities itself to assist would be a little bit more beneficial while we wait for?
I believe so, because last year I would have been sent by my superior to Chateaubriand to sensitize. I think those members of Red Cross and I guess people from the community about fire safety and fire prevention, and I would have also been sent to Kingston as well as and Sharpside as well to educate the people on that. So I think with education and having that knowledge of identifying the risk factor of fire and so on, it will be able to reduce a lot of these fire. So I think yes, on a larger scale, I think programs, like I said, we have programs in the making to educate the public. So for this year, we are looking to educate a larger mass of people. So it would help us as firefighters and also help the public in reducing the risk of fire.
And to straighten what the corporal would have said, which is very good because you see, he's well learned. Yes.
Thank you.
He came up under good leadership.
Is this you?
Well, we have had a long relationship working together.
Okay.
We have a lot of persons who are responsible for these tasks. But to add to what the corporal just said in sensitization, and we've been doing that on a yearly basis, on an ongoing basis, I should say, because at the Argyle Fire Station, which have a better setting, there are a lot of school visits that we are receiving on a day-to-day basis, where schools will come, we sensitize the children on fire prevention and fire safety. Not only the children, we will have teachers in the mix and parents. A lot of parents have been joining the children to come into the station to have this information and to be trained as to how to out a fire and how to identify and detect and what to do in the event of a fire. So it has been happening. And also we have this medium where we come and corp chat. We speak to the people who are concerned in fire prevention and on the beat programs. And also we go into business places where we do sensitization as well. And as I said, the avenue is open for persons to do more for themselves and to reach out to us so that we can do more for them.
Okay. All right. So let's take a quick break here at this time, and then we'll be back with more Cop Chat for today.
WEFM, the new fresh sound. Do you want to feel clean or refreshed after using the bathroom, whether at home, work, or play? Welcome to My Smart Toilet Seats. All of our products wash your private parts after using the bathroom without the use of your hands. Let's hear what our national table tennis champion, Damian Dublin, has to say.
I tried it and it works. There are 4 options. Simply add an attachment to your existing toilet seat, or choose a non-electric seat, or better, an electric seat that washes and dries you with warm water and air. Lastly, get a complete smart toilet that also flushes itself. What are you waiting for? Get your smart toilet seat today. Be smart, be refreshed, be clean, be a winner like me.
Our smart toilet seat is available throughout St. Vincent at retail outlets with the orange flags. You can call us at 457-1703 or visit our website at justwashit.vc.
That could have been you. An accident that could have been avoided because your tires had almost no grip on the road. Safety is a factor that should never be overlooked when it comes to your car or whatever you drive. SVG Tire Sales and Services in Balls Avenue and in Arnisvale carries a wide selection of quality new tires to fit any car, truck, minibus, or SUV, so you can experience a comfortable and safe commute every time. We are agents for the world's most reliable brands on and off the road, including Kenda Tires, the king of the mountain. Cooper Tires, king of the road and track. Ostone, the king of the outback. And Hi-Fly, the king of the Asian highway. We also carry new tires for light or heavy-duty trucks from MRF, Hi-Fly, and Linglong. A reliable set of new tires keep you, your passengers, and your payload always in the safe lane. So when you need quality tires with reliability at 100%, choose SVG Tire Sales and Services in Kingstown, 457-1467, or in Arnesvale, 456-6444. SVG Tire Sales and Services. Performance and reliability proven when the rubber meets the road. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's a whole new world out there. Reaching new customers and getting products faster. That's what it's all about. Ocean freight rates are skyrocketing, so don't pay more for slower service. It's time to switch to faster, more reliable air cargo service with SkyMax Cargo. Up to 3 flights weekly to and from the USA, Puerto Rico, and the Caribbean islands. Providing excellent import, export, and e-commerce solutions to put you ahead of the competition. For special low rates on small packages and air cargo, contact SkyMax today. 784-456-5400. Local agents SwiftPack Interprime Cargo. Call 784-456-5400 to book your shipments today.
Yes, sir.
Our industry relies on all of us to play our part. We take pride in showcasing our beautiful island, our craft, our cuisine, and our warm Vincentian hospitality.
Each of us play a crucial role in showcasing our vibrant tourism industry. We can create spaces where visitors can unwind, connect with nature, and embrace tranquility of our beautiful surroundings.
We need everyone on board to help us create an exceptional experience for our guests.
Join us at our National Tourism Community Consultations as we shape the future of tourism in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
It's everyone's business. Yeah, love it, embrace it.
Nothing else sounds as good as WEFM, the clean, fresh sound.
Cop Chat. You've got questions for the police? They're here to give you the answers on WEFM 99.9.
The world has become such a cruel place. Something is wrong with the human race. Preacher man say it's wonders and signs. We are living in the end of times. Where is the love we once used to know? Where is the kindness we used to show? The heart of man is so full of hate. Let's make a change before it's too late. Too much killing, too much blood spilling. Each and every morning, it's weeping and mourning. We've got to stop all the crimes, erase the violence, let our voice be heard. We can't sit in silence. The hope of tomorrow is in no use today. We've got to live in love. Crime and violence don't pay.
All right, so listen, this is what happens when we're off air, right? So Mr. Clark is there singing along. I was like, oh, you know that song so good. So then he's informing me, Mr. Phillips, oh my gosh. is telling me he's singing along to this song. So I was teasing him about it. And now I realize that he's also a recording artist. All right. So yes, we do have talent in the house, talent and expertise in the house. All right. So we are joining back for today's Cop a Chat. And today we are looking at fire prevention and safety. And in studio, we have Inspector Curtis Clark and Corporal Clifford Phillips, otherwise known as
Prince Wade.
Prince Wade. All right. So we're getting back into it. All right. So a fire breaks out in my home. What do I do? Give me the step-by-step things that I should do. Panic? Panic first?
No, the panic. Okay. Thank you very much. Fire breakout in your home. You identify where the fire is. Your thing is, if you are not trained and you are not responsible enough to attack the fire, get out, get help. If the fire is behind you inside of a room, try close the door. Because what is going to happen now is that closing the door would help to contain the fire. And what fire needs is actually oxygen. So once it feeds on that oxygen, then it would spread. But if it is, if that oxygen is not supplying to that fire, then it would slow down the rate of spread of the fire. So then you would have a slower fire behavior, which means you are walking in benefit us, because you're giving us time now as firefighter to respond, which would also help us when we get to that scene now. We would meet the fire at least under containment. Mm-hmm. So it's best thing, get out, get help, call 911 so that we could come on the scene and do what we normally do best. Okay. Inspector, anything?
Yes, I will add to what Mr. Phillips said. And I always advise to have a fire plan. A fire plan could be a basic document. It doesn't have to be something that is, that wide. For your home, a basic fire plan entails that you, upon identifying a fire, if you can extinguish a fire, we advise you to make that attempt, because it can be a small fire that you can extinguish and preventing it from getting out of control. But if it is a fire that you cannot extinguish, you realize it's a threat to your life or it can hurt you. If it's in a particular room, you close the door for that room and you evacuate the building. If other occupants are in that building, you make an alarm, whether with your mouth, you say fire in the bedroom, you ask everyone to evacuate, and you evacuate in a very safe location, which we call the assembly point or the muster point. Mm-hmm. While there, you make a call to the fire department, and at that point, you wait us to arrive on the scene. We don't want you to be a hero and try to extinguish that fire, and eventually, because of your attempt, the fire may get out of hand and it circle around you, and then you are trapped in the building. No, we not only have a fire to extinguish, but we have a life to rescue. Mm-hmm. So if you cannot extinguish the fire, close that door and get out of the property. That is the best thing I could advise you to do.
Okay. Yeah, because being inside of a house and being exposed to toxic gas, which we know we have 3 to 5 minutes once you are exposed to that toxic gas, whether it's cyanide, carbon monoxide, right? It's best to get out as fast as possible. Right.
All right. So, question for you both. The reason why I laughed or chuckled when I said it's going to be an interesting program is that, all right, so we know that the fire department has been placed under a microscope again of late, right? And we saw the response to fire most recently in December. I'm phrasing it this way, right? What are the challenges that your department faces when it comes to responding to fires and outing fires in a relatively short time? What are the challenges that you currently face?
Okay, some of the challenges that we faced, it starts from the station. On our road, getting to the fire scene, sometimes some motorists be driving a particular way. Sometimes they hear the sounding of the siren or the fire alarm, the fire siren, I should say, on the truck. And sometimes they don't always give way as they should. Upon hearing the fire siren, you're supposed to pull off to be there after the left of the road and come to a stop and give us way to pass. So that's one of the challenges. Another challenge that we face Sometimes when we got to that fire scene, the area where the fire is, sometimes we have a lot of vehicles parked along the road. That the fire truck can gain a proper area to stage where they can lay out the equipment and so on and set up for that fire scene. Another challenge that we face is manpower. Some of the fire scene that we may go to, when we got there, because most of the time when we get a fire call and we get there, most time the building is engulfed in fire. We normally get there at the start, because at the start, when someone calls, it takes us a while to get there because of our location. And sometimes based on the material that is there in the building or that is being burned. So manpower is a critical factor there. You have a truck going out with maybe 5 persons the most. Within that 5 persons, you have a driver. You have to have somebody to manage the scene. And when you operate in your hose, you have to have 2 persons on that hose. So you might have to do 2 lines and refer to line as the hose as line. So you might have to do an attack and a defense. So that is how many persons we have there. We have 2 on one hose, 2 on one hose, that's 4. 1 to drive, that's 5. 1 to manage, that's 6. And based on the amount of time that you're out there, you might have to have some relief, because firefighting activity is a very exhausting one. And another challenge that we have is the the mechanical, the manual resources, which we speak about the equipment. If you don't have the right equipment to operate within a particular fire area and a particular fire ground, it would not make any sense to even try to extinguish without losing that property. I say that to say, we have a lot of high-rise building in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And our appliances that we have they're not ladder equipments. So in order for you to get to the 5th floor, say the fire is on the 5th floor, you need to be lifted so that you can get to the area. Because sometimes you try to go up the stairway, but because of the amount of smoke that is inside, it reduces your visibility. So gaining access to the fire sometimes may be to break a window, and get into that area. So if it doesn't have the right gear and equipment, that can be a challenge for us. Other challenge that we have is that sometimes you may have persons on the scene, civilian, and because you don't have enough manpower, you try to get civilian away from the danger area. But you have to use up your other resources like your manpower to do that. And then it kind of reduces your capability in terms of what you have to do. You kind of overload you at that point.
All right. So if if I'm understanding correctly, is it a case where the fire department doesn't have enough persons within that department? Or is it that there's a limitation in terms of how many persons can be on the truck at one time when responding to the fire? And is the other limitation that the fire trucks that you currently have, saying you as in the department, that you currently have, they need updating?
Okay. I see the couple like
go ahead.
But I'm going to answer you. Go ahead. Yes, I would say that 2 things. 1, the fire trucks have a limited amount of power that they can carry, because as all vehicles have a seating capacity. That may be one of the challenge in a way, but the greater way in which I'm speaking about is the manpower itself at the fire department. There are times it seems as if we have a lot of persons, but when you look at the role and the responsibility given to us as firefighters, let's say you have 6 persons going out on a fire scene. And based on the fire, that can overwhelm your capability. So there are times we may have 6 persons because that may be full staff, but there are times persons might be on vacation, persons might be on sick leave, and they may down to a small amount. And as I indicated, firefighting is a stressful and a laborious job. So you have to have manpower in order to effect that.
Okay, I don't know if you could answer this, or maybe it's an off-air question. I don't know. But how many persons are supposed to be on duty within a shift?
Okay. Within a shift, I will say we should have at least 13 persons within a shift, the minimum.
Okay.
And that is if we have 2 trucks. That's the minimum. As I indicated, there are different roles that each individual has to play. So, and based on where the fire is. So for instance, if the fire is in Kingston, the street is right there and the building is right there. It may take less resources at that point. But let's say you have a fire, as you indicated, in Chateaubelair. The house is all the way on the top of the hill. You have to take those equipment up on the top, hose and whatever equipment you have to use in order to get to that point. That's where you need the additional manpower to help, because you have to have power source rotating.
So one of the reasons why I asked this as well too is because I'm thinking, okay, so yes, the fire truck has a seating capacity, but let's say if the department has a pickup truck, the extra persons who cannot sit in the fire truck itself, they can go in the pickup, and then you'd have enough persons on the scene to be able to assist, as opposed to just relying on those 5 persons.
That's correct as well.
If I may, well, I mean, Inspector said his thing, but I want to put it really too much on the manpower, but how you manage your scene, right? I mean, there are a lot of hiccups, even congestion, as he said. Sometimes we trying to get to that point where the fire is. Sometimes you have vehicles and all things alongside the road would slow us down and call a lapse in time. Even some of the house fire we would have gone to, there are congestion of debris. You have stuff around the house, which is making it impossible for you as a firefighter to try and vent.
Right. But you see, I am even looking at what happened in December, because the fire was in Kingston. Right. It was a early morning or late night. I can't remember which one it was, right? So there wasn't any sort of vehicle traffic. There wasn't any of those issues that you're bringing up, which I could. All right, okay.
There were other factors as well, which would have also influenced that. I mean, for instance, it's a high-rising building, yes, and it was quite a bit impossible in terms of getting up there to vent it. Not saying them guys didn't do their thing, but I mean.
So if you had a different fire truck with the ladder, the thing that would have helped a lot.
Our job is to make sure everybody is safe and to promote safety. So at the same time, even when we are trying to extinguish these fire in these high-rise buildings, we have to consider our safety too, as well as firemen. Right. So and also you have to look at atmosphere stability and wind and humidity at that said night in December, right? And those are factors that could have contributed to a lot of the fire behavior too as well. I think the thing.
If you look back at the video that was put out, right, and you look back at it through the eyes of a civilian, right, you can understand. And I use the word, it was painful to look at.
Yeah, and what there is also not the building would have electricity as well, right?
And that leads to my other question. Right. But
so one of the things is now we know, and just you must assess a scene before doing these things. It is very important to assess a scene. Being a firefighter doesn't mean you have to run on a scene because a report is made of a house fire and just start to show water. You want to know contents, you want to know the layout of the building, you want to know there are stuff that you need to know, there are particles that you need to get before doing so, right? There's a time frame, you do your assessment. That's where you manage you put who you have to put, whether to do search and rescue, who have to go and extinguish and manage the operation of the pump. So these are things.
And it's not like you need more than 5 persons.
Right. Well, I mean, like I said,
you need more than 5 persons showing up at a scene.
But we have to manage what we have at the time. We cannot think about wanting that. Whatever men we have on the ground, we have to try and rotate, manage that workforce.
All right. So before Inspector comes in, just a question: when persons show up for their shift, right? Is it a case where you say, should something happen to today, or on your roster, do you say that if something happens today, you are assigned as lead? Or do persons, when they get to the scene, figure out who is lead?
Well, that's why you have the mitigation. When I say mitigate, there are you plan ahead, right? So when we arrive on the scene, when I say, okay, Tom Jones, you do this. It's rotate. You rotate it. You don't want to exhaust your workforce.
Which is true, but should they be note ahead of time that they are going to be lead, so that when they get there,
Right.
everybody knows that you are going to be listening to this person.
That's why we would chain men, so that they know whenever their time come to take up such role, they would be able to perform whatever. Because every team has their weakness and strength. So yeah. Inspector, anything?
Yes, let me add to what you are saying. Yes, based on the question you asked, we do pre-plan at the fire departments. You go in on a day-to-day basis. The team leader is supposed to, when pauses come, you do a roll call. Make sure that you have members of staff present. You indicate to them their task. So if you have a fire, Mr. John, you are the branch man. No, Mr. Clark, you're the number one, you're the number two, and we go in code the number that tells you your duty.
Okay.
Yes. So each person will know their role prior. If by chance that didn't happen while on the truck, pre-plan is not a hard activity.
Right.
On the truck, you say, well, Phillips, you're the branch man. Mr. John, you have to backing up Mr. Phillips. Next person, your second host layer. Third person by name, you do rescue. So yes, it's something that we normally do.
Okay.
There's also in terms of time with that, because you don't want to, as I said, you don't want to exhaust your men. So we rotate that role so that everybody can have a chance and revive themselves.
Okay.
He's speaking on the fire ground.
I realize.
Right.
All right. Next question, last question, most likely, right? Is when firemen arrive at the scene of a fire, are you equipped to extinguish all types of fires? Because I remember previous cop chats, there are different classifications of fire, right? And we know that the fire in Kingston in December, that we kept hearing pop, 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 right? So there was some electrical something going on there as well. So when you get to the scene, yes, I know you're coming with the water, but we know that not all fires can be outed with water. So how equipped are you at outing the different types of fires?
Okay, we are equipped to out all of the fires that from time to time we pose with, meaning fires relating to buildings, motor vehicles, bushfires. I single them out because I want us to know the difference in the fires in which we normally extinguish on a day-to-day basis. Water is our main extinguishing agent, but we also have foam on the truck. We have dry chemical on the truck. If we go to a building, first assessment the first thing we're looking for, our assessment is for electricity.
Mm-hmm.
I know you were referring to the fire in December. And when the firemen got on the scene, they were told that electricity is still on the building. And they were given some information on that the voltage was about 11,000 voltage. That's what I would have heard when I got there, because I was there the night in question. Safety is always of paramount.
Correct.
So we won't advise the firemen or any person, if electricity is on a building, to just throw water. You have to make an assessment. We can say that on many buildings now in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and around the world, we have a breaking system where there's a electrical fire, the breaker will trip, which is supposed to take off the electricity throughout the building. But the electricity is still concentrated at the meter.
Okay.
So if you are in doubt, I wouldn't advise you to throw water there. But let's say that they are adjoining building or they are surrounding buildings. Then what you will do now, you will try to cool those buildings around because before I go into that, because there's a MOU with VINLEC and Water Authority. So once there's a fire, VINLEC will be called and they will get on the scene to disconnect the electricity. Also, Water Authority will come on the scene as well. And even if we need a hydrant to get more pressure, they will take off the pressure from other lines and restrain the flow of water in that particular area.
Okay.
So until VINLEC arrive, then you will wet the other building around to, we call it a cooling activity. So preventing the fire from spreading. So we have to look at these things carefully and manage them accordingly. So
and quickly, because a fire is going to keep going while you're thinking.
Yeah,
right?
that is true. So once you get on the scene, you make the assessment. Then based on the assessment, you should start to do your extinguishing means.
Okay.
But if you realize that throwing water on a particular area is a threat to your life, I would advise not to do that, but do the other methods. There's another method that we teach, but you have to able to, when I say perfect, but you have to able to do it properly. Because if you have a fire and the electricity in the area, you're not sure, what you can do a burst the water flow. So instead of a straight stream where you water is a conductor of electricity. If you do a straight stream, the electricity can come back to you. But if you do a burst, on and off, it helps to reduce or to slow down the growth of the fire while protecting you at the same time.
Okay. Correct. All right. I'm trying to see if I have asked all my questions, right? All right. So we've come to the end of today's Cough Chat, but of course I'm going to allow you the final words, the final thoughts. If there's anything in particular that you want to say or to enforce or reinforce, you can do so at this time.
I just want to leave with the listening public some fire prevention tips, fire prevention and safety tips. And I want to stress back to the building in town. I normally call it the Jacks building, but it's a storage area where Jacks operate at. And we realize that in that area, perhaps there might be some detection system, but I would like to advise persons where possible to install not only smoke alarm of smoke detectors or fire alarm in the buildings, but also sprinkler system.
Curious question before you continue with that. Do you think that should be part of when you're doing architectural plans, the building code? Do you think that should be part of it? No, because we see what's happening.
Yes, I think that should be part of it.
Okay.
And if it was there and not enforced, I think it needs to be enforced, because that can save your building and that can save lives. And it can eliminate the amount of damages that you receive and the adjoining building that may be next to you may got from that fire.
So who's making the proposal to who?
Well, the fire department have to be stronger in making this proposal, because we see it's very important. It helps us to make our task easier and not only in saving property, but in saving lives. So I want to encourage my listening public to install fire suppression systems, which is sprinklers, and smoke detector is very important. If you don't have a fire suppression system and you have a smoke detector, it can tell you there's a fire in my building, get out before it's too late. Extinguishers, a lot of houses may not have extinguishers. I advise persons to buy an extinguisher and place them in the house, especially the kitchen area. It's very important, because you may have a fire and you go to extinguish this fire, but you have not gotten the means to extinguish it. But once you have an extinguisher, now you can effectively out the fire once it's within the range of which that extinguisher can extinguish. Children, I want to let children know that matches and lighters, they are not toys. They are tools. And I want parents to enforce that and let children know these are nothing that you have to play with. Because a lot of times you have fires being started by children by playing with matches and so on. So we want them to not get involved in using matches. Parents also to provide or to make a child safety zone around the stove. Maybe about 3 feet, 5 feet. No children supposed to be in that distance.
Okay.
Because children, they are very anxious and they are curious.
Like moth to a flame.
Yes.
Yes.
So they will go to the stove, see something bright and pretty, and that is danger for them. Also, if you're cooking, I will advise you that if you have a pot on the fire, turn in the handle. sometimes the hand is overhanging.
Mm-hmm.
If you turn the handle in, you can prevent any incidents. Because as an adult, you can put up on the handle and it spill, and you can burn or whatever is in pan, maybe oil, could throw it on the stove and it can start a fire based on the degree of heat that is there. And if you at the stove or anywhere in the house and you are caught on fire, I want to speak about the idiot gel. We call it that. It is drop to the ground. You couch like with your hands on the knee, protect your face with your hand, and you roll left to right until you get that fire out. Most cases, once you do that, the fire will out. If not, somebody else is around and seeing that the fire is on you and you're not out in that way, I advise them to get a wet blanket, wet sheet, whatever it is, wet it and throw it over you to blanket that fire. But do not run, do not panic and run, because if you do that, you're gonna fan the fire. That flame, once it is in the open and it pick up the oxygen, gonna blaze quickly. So, Mr. Phillips, you want to add anything?
Yes, thank you, Inspector. Suppression system, especially for those business place and domestic use. There is the detectors such as you have the smoke detectors, you have the heat detectors, you have the ionization detectors, and you also have the photoelectric. So these are 4 smoke detectors you can normally use inside your house, so that if there's fire smoke, they would be able to pick it up. Also, you can invest in a carbon monoxide detectors, which would pick up the scent of if there is a leak in your gas, if your gas is leaking actually, right? So that's something you can invest in. Also, fire blanket, a small extinguisher, OSP have, in case you want to get one, you could go at OSP, right? Specky?
Yeah, OSP, sir.
Right. So,
free advertising, but
yes, it's OSP.
It's okay.
And well, as I said, your extinguisher, your fire blanket. Also, what I want to say to also for, especially for children who might have been trapped in a house that is on fire, that probably be progressing smoke at the moment. What you can do, you can drop to the floor and cover your nose and crawl up to the nearest exit, which is very important in order to save a life. And children, don't play with matches. Matches should be stored away from children. Candles should be placed away from combustible material. Also, avoid the overloading of socket outlet, too much device in one outlet. And don't leave your pot unattended if you are cooking. Avoid smoking while you want to take a nap. If you want to smoke, get an ashtray with some water in there.
Or even starting to cook while you're tired.
Right, I have that.
Yeah.
Don't cook while you are tired. Make no sense.
Definitely.
Do not leave your pot unattended if you know you're going to take a shower. Because I remember, I think it's a year or 2 back, we had a report of that. I think it was in Kingston. The lady went to take a shower and she has one of those electrical stove. So while she was there, the stove was at a high temperature. So it, creates fire. So I just want to tell the public to practice good safety prevention and fire safety, and be able to identify risks as well. And for those people who like to light up fire, being negligent as to whatever, we could refrain from doing so, because sometimes some of these fire they're just toxic, and we want to see the effect of it now until probably later on, and so much things. But we have to be more careful. Right, thank you.
All right. So thank you very much, Inspector Clark and Corporal Phillips, for being here with us this morning. Don't think it's going to be the last time that we see both of you here in particular on today's Cop Chat. Well, on Cop Chat, all right? And I hoping that two of the things that you mentioned in terms of the challenges, that there might be some improvement to them this year, because of course with those improvements, it can only benefit the rest of us as citizens of SVG. All right. So thanks very much for being here, and have a good and a safe one today.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. All right, so it's time here in SVG. It is 9:09, and at this time, we are going to bring to you today's ECCB currency exchange rates.
3, 2, 1. WEFM is SVG.
All right, so it's time for us to bring to you today's ECCB currency exchange rates, brought to us by Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Brick by brick, piece by piece, building with technology, helping wealth increase.